Hi, this is Ginger. I wanted to share with you some folios I made for an album swap that I was in. First, I'll say that it was the swap was an album that had to include 3 folios. So when I started creating my folios, I used a tutorial by Rehatch Designs, and in the midst of making the folios, realized that I wasn't going to be able to bind them into an album, so I created this box to hold the folios. And it will sit like this, but we'll turn it like this for the video. So I hinged it using, for the door, Tim Holtz hinges and a Tim Holtz knob with an elastic closure. And I made a resin piece from a Prima mold and used my waxes. The paper cover on the outside is a combination of Craft Consortium and I believe that was 7 Gypsies, yeah. And that says the wedding songbook. And that looks like a marriage certificate. Some music paper. And the theme of this swap was a love theme. So this took me out of my comfort zone because I love vintage and antiqued, but I kind of built that into this love theme. So take the closure off, and this swings open, and there is the 3 slots that each folio sits into. So, and I will link you to the tutorial that I used to follow to build these folios by Rehatch Designs in the description. So each of the folios, I've got a closure with this sari silk ribbon. So you just open it. And on this one, on the cover, I've got a doily that I inked and one of the Tim Holtz dolls. And then this opens, and there's the other doily. This, I made a pocket with a tag. I used a lot of printables that I printed off of Etsy and Google, the little certificate of marriage. And then on this side is an envelope that I sealed and put a wax seal that I got from Kelly Snow's Etsy shop. I'll also link that. And then I cut the top open for a pocket for this tag. And then I used a piece of lace to create a little pocket this was a printable envelope to open. And there's a little place for journaling. Another, like a little certificate of marriage. And another printable, like a marriage records with a place to journal in the back. And those just tuck all in behind the lace. And then this was a printable envelope that I created, and after I scored before I glued the envelope shut, I sewed it into the spine of this folio. And I got a little rusted paper clip with an envelope. Another printable with a journaling spot. And then inside the envelope is just some vintage little journaling spots. And then this opens in the center. I used a Tim Holtz die for a typewriter. And this folds open, and then you have, I sewed, you'll see on the other one, 2 of these I sewed to make pockets, and on The other will show you. I'm not sure what you call it. But there's just a lot of tuck spots and places for little pieces to journal on. Some printables. Little glassine bag with a ticket. And here's a vintage postcard. I believe this might be one of the ones out of the Craft Consortium paper. And then this envelope is the same thing, although I put a heart on its closure, but it's just got 2 more of those vintage journaling spots. And then this side, this is also something that Rehatch Designs created in her folios. She rusted up these prong fasteners, and I did the same. And you just make a little notebook. So I put love notes on the cover of this one, and it's just got spots to journal. And then that closes. That folds over. I didn't do anything on that side. And then that's that one. And the second folio I used Graphic 45's Lee Romantic collection. And there's the Sorry Silk ribbon closure. And I got a little envelope that I made for a tuck spot for that tag. And then this opens. And on this side, I put an envelope and glued this little brass piece down that flap can sit in. And this is one of the Tim Holtz snapshots with a journaling spot on the back. And then this opens, and there's another Tim Holtz doll with a tuck spot on the back for a tag. This is another tuck spot for a place to journal. And then this center, this is the one that I didn't sew. And as you can see, I guess it's an accordion fold out, you would call it. So I've got some Tim Holtz dolls. I did an embossed piece with the alphabet. There's another Tim Holtz doll. All of these with tags and journaling spots. Little ticket on that side. A tag behind her, and then 2 more on the back side of the Graphic 45 paper. And then on the other side, that's another Tim Holtz doll. I got a little glassine envelope. I put a Velcro closure, and there's tickets and a tag inside. And I did a lot of sewing in these folios. And then you shut that. And then on this side, I've got a paper bag on the front with a little Tim Holtz hanger and a chain with a bead that holds a tag. And then you open, and there's another Tim Holtz doll. I put a library pocket with a guest check, some tickets, another Tim Holtz snapshot. And then these close. On the back, I followed a tutorial by Betty, on junk journals, etc., and made a book page tag. I think it was a book page tag pocket, and did some sewing. But anyhow, it's book pages that you create different pockets and sew around. And this one, and then this is a poem off of that graphic 45 paper. And this is on the back, and I got a little fabric piece and a little, like a wedding bell. And that's the second folio. And then the third and last one, again with the Sari silk ribbon. This is a doily I got from Karen Briles. There's a lot of ephemera in here that I've bought from her. I'll also link where you can purchase that. And there's a Tim Holtz metal piece with a printable behind it. And you open this up, and I created a pocket with vellum. And here's a tag, a picture from an old postcard, some eco-dyed paper, and the vellum's also on this back side with a music note tag. And this paper line in this folio is that Seven Gypsies Harmony. And so I fussy cut this piece out and made a tuck spot, and sewed a little hand journaling. There's an envelope in the middle. That envelope came from Kelly Snow's Etsy shop. And some tea-dyed papers. And then that just tucks right in there. And then on the middle, this says Mr. and Mrs. This is another one that I actually sewed the accordion together to create pockets, and each one has a tag. It's in a printable. I fussy cut that Just Married out of the paper line. And then I created on this one another notebook and used that rusted up prong fastener. Some journaling spots. And then that closes, and that closes. And on the back is another one of Kelly's envelopes that I sealed and cut the top open for a tuck spot for a tag. And that's the last. And that's it. Thanks for watching.